Yeah, there's a word that people are using nowadays, sheeple. This is basically individuals who sort of like free will, mm, who keep on following the same political campaigns, who keep on voting for the same political parties. Sheeple implying that they are always led by the shepherd. Um, Without the shepherd, they wouldn't know where they're going. Um, I find this word to be slightly derogatory because let's be honest, most of the people that are called sheeple are uninformed or have ulterior motives. But the majority are people that are uninformed. Um, I think we take for granted the number of people in this country who are illiterate, and I mean literally illiterate, who can't read or write. So when they go to the ballot, they choose a face that's associated with a party that's associated to a history that they have heard from others, word to mouth, or if they're older, something that they have heard about or they have lived in the struggle. These are the people that we're calling sheeple. Veteran Namibian citizens are the ones that we're calling sheeple. Uh, I think if people want to call sheeple, we can call sheeple in Grootfontein, we can call sheeple in Otavi, we can call sheeple in Ojuarongo, Hobabis, Swakopmund, Walvis Bay, but we cannot call people sheeple beneath the red line because beneath the red line, history hasn't moved much. I've noticed people tend to see malls and new infrastructure being built as development. At least something is happening. Well, that's all good and well, but who's benefiting? Who is benefiting from that? It's most definitely not the people. And if anything, it takes away from the tourist attraction. Because when tourists come here, they don't see the people in their natural habitat, the way that they live. What do they find? Things that they see where they come from all the time. I think in an attempt to sort of erase history, right? In an attempt that our leaders seem to have to erase history and to sort of give the people their version of history, as was demonstrated when they took off that horse. They had all sorts of reasons. None of them actually looked at the other side, the significance of what it meant to the people that went on strike and asked for that monument to remain there. Number one, we should kind of look at what it brings. And what did that bring? It brought tourist attraction. Because people could see Namibia's history when they got there. This was built by the Germans in 19 ABC and it was put here for this reason. That's history, you know. That is a public museum. That didn't belong to the Germans. That belonged to all of us as Namibian citizens, you know. In 1990, when independence was established, it was for all Namibians. That means all public monuments and what have you, they belong to Namibia, to the Namibians. Now, the propaganda used then was that this displayed the victory that the Germans had over us Namibians. Well, I don't see what's the positive in us forgetting this moment in history. We always talk about not wanting to forget so that we don't repeat. So it's kind of funny that we're being forced to forget. Why are we being forced to forget? What's being repeated? And then there's the whole radical, uh, radical speeches, radical movements, militant ideology, and they say this that there's no place for that in Namibia because we've attained independence and we're moving along, right? We're moving along. So we should just, you know, thank the leaders that be for giving us history, for giving us independence, and then just go along with whatever it is that they are plotting, scheming, planning, whatever the right word is. And this gets to me in a way that it should most young Namibians, the youth, because keeping history away from us it's depriving us of our legacy. This is ours, irrespective of the skin color, irrespective of our history of segregation. This is something that we've inherited. We can't just throw it away. The American Indians in America are still getting reminiscence from the United States government for the wrongs that were done to them hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And a lot of them have the support of the American citizens because they've embraced their history, the victories, the defeats, the scandals, and the good. And I think we should be at that point where we're mature enough as a nation, to look at the wrong, accept it, look at the good, and accept it. Let's celebrate what we're doing right, and then let's fix what we're doing wrong. It might seem like I'm speaking in metaphors, but basically what I'm saying is the fight isn't over. It's just being kept away from the people. The huge gap, inequality gap that we have, it's between the suburbs and the rural areas. That's where it is. If there were suburbs in the rural areas, if there was a suburb in Marema, where my village is, right? If there was a suburb there, this huge gap would be non-existent because development should have started. Development should have started. Not only development, but information distribution, education, whatever you want to call it, should have started where it was almost non-existent, because the people are underestimated, and most of the people have lost hope in their government when they vote or when they go to party rallies. What they're doing is basically based on a hobby. It's that time of the year. Let's go again and let's do ABC. See? And I think this is a crime against the brave ones who fought for freedom. And I'm going back as far as Samuel Mahero, Hendrik Witbooi. They didn't really know what they were fighting for. Actually, they did. They were fighting for land. And land, when we speak of land in the modern era that we are right now, it's not about farms. It's about utilizing land. And most people that have a lot of farms that don't want to sell, or people that have plots in excess and flats, and those of us who don't have that, who don't have the land and the houses, we're not saying we want what they want. No, what we want is social justice. We want to be engaged in the politics of our country. We have every right. I have an ID and it says Namibian citizen. So I cannot be censored. And if what I say offends something, then it offends someone, then rebuttal me. Don't tell me I was being disrespectful when I said a certain thing. Because there's no more room for respect. Respect is exactly what's keeping us in line. Rules, laws, they all derive from respect. That's where they come from. At their core, in the beginning, it all comes from respect, setting up order. Ne? So when someone is attempting to disrupt the order, immediately it's presumed that they want to disrupt the system. No, no one wants to disrupt the system. But we want more people involved in the system. I can't go back to the village and find 15-year-olds herding cattle as a full-time career and then come back and say, I am proudly Namibian. I can't. Or young girls being married off at an early age, because we still hold on to the old traditional authorities, and we do give them that power in those communities. Basically, it seems like a two-way government system where you have, on top of the red line, you have the government and the suburbs, of course, when you go down the red line, and then when you go out to the outskirts, to the villages and so forth, then you have the traditional authorities being the authorities that apply ancient rule of law among the people. They don't make demands for the people because they are settled. When election time comes, they get a 4x4. They're happy. And that's how their mindset is. Let's be honest here. How many of them are truly educated? How many of them are advocating to educate their people? Those trials that they have, where someone gets murdered, and then they have to discuss how many cows this family has to pay for that life that got lost there. Guys, what happened with Oscar Pistorius, or Pistolman, whatever he's called, what happened there is nothing in comparison to the atrocities that are happening in the rural areas. It is absolutely on a whole different scale. And this shows that there isn't only a gap in the economy, there is a huge gap in governance. A huge gap in governance. Because the only thing that people go get at the villages are votes. That's why I commend the brother that decided uh, the repositioning of land. Because why not? Imagine a scenario, right, where you have the village picked up somehow and then placed, right, where the Hilton Hotel is. What will happen? Most people will scatter their businesses elsewhere. They'll scatter their businesses elsewhere, or they will develop that community instantly so that it doesn't hurt their reputation. But it can't hurt their reputation if the people there are not only illiterate, but they don't understand that they are an asset in this country, and they don't understand the rule of law. And when I say the rule of law, I'm talking about the basics. Women get disrespected like nobody's business there. Women suffer abuse on a daily basis there. And people are praying for gender-based violence to come to an end when people aren't going to the places where these things happen almost every day, even if it's for the purpose of researching this scenario, I mean, this problem. Research it, find out what are the motivations. How does it get to this point? No one is doing this because it doesn't pay. It doesn't pay. Activism doesn't pay. Activism requires funding. You understand? But what I think is that the people can help themselves if they are given the sufficient information. And it started. This is the beginning. This is the foundation that you're seeing right now, that you're reading on the headlines. That is the foundation of information redistribution. Because why? Because the Afrikaner were a bunch of hillbillies where they came from, ended up becoming the most powerful regime on the continent. And I'm not speaking badly about them. I'm just being honest. Why? Because their government didn't just give them land. No. They gave them information. They gave them that tool, the most important tool in history. Humanity changed when people started to write. Just look at the Bible and the impact that it's had on people. Because it's one of the best written books out there. The world's #1 selling book, the Bible. Why? Why? Why has it come along for 2,000 years? Because of information, the philosophy, the, the, the methodology that was used to write the Bible, right, was basically sort of philosophical. I'm not talking about it on a religious sense, but that it can be thought of that way too. But I'm just speaking about the impact that the Bible has had for all these years. The Bible is this one thick piece of information, this one thick piece of hope. Anybody can understand it. It's that simple. And that's what we want. We want to distribute information. We don't want people that have failed, let's say grade 8 dropout, or grade 9 dropout, or grade 10 dropout, 11, 12, or someone who can't afford to finish at varsity, to be left in the dark and to not access the information that's at those institutions because they can't afford it or because of other priorities. No. What we want is just like the Mark Shuttleworth. What Mark Shuttleworth did with the cheap laptops was so that these kids that lived in poverty had this laptop, I think it was a $1 laptop. But what that thing had inside it was information. Humans are curious by nature. At some point, they kill our curiosity and we move along like zombies. But as long as we see that we have the most important tool, which is information, and now we have technology, now we can gather as much information as we need, give out the crucial information. Because right now, this country, it's experiencing the winds of a revolution. Because the youth are fed up. They're fed up. I'm fed up. We don't want money. That's the ones that they keep advertising, trying to throw it down our throats, the diamonds in the teeth and entertainment, all that stuff that dumbs us down. We want the information that is valuable, information that teaches, information that empowers us. And we will not stop. We won't stop until this entire country is swept with information, until every citizen knows that they belong to this country, that they are an asset, that they matter. From the one begging in the street to the one selling stuff in the street to the one that's filthy rich, whoever, we want to spread the information unbiasedly. And the best place to go is where it's the least accessible. And the best way to give it out is to leave it for the person to interpret it. See, the winds of a revolution are blowing. Watch out.